Hey everyone, Christian here with KQ Fitness. We're going to talk today a little bit about how to properly warm up or utilize the foam roller as a good warm-up routine before your run or your cardio activity. So this is for all you runners out there like me. You're dealing with, you want to get started in your run, you're dealing with a little bit of tightness. Maybe it's in the morning, maybe it's later in the day, you haven't had a chance to stretch or anything like that. We're going to use this trigger point foam roller to kind of target stimulating blood flow to our working muscles, those running muscles. I call it the Fab Five. And we're also going to use it as a chance to break down any tight connective tissue, so to provide some self-myofascial release or SMR relief to those connective tissues of those specific running muscles. All right, so without further ado, come down to the ground on our mat. I'm going to take my trigger point foam roller here. And you can use any foam roller. It could be the full-length ones, the shorter ones, whatever you got. You could even use a canned food item to be able to roll with. Might be a little dicey with that. It might be a little short, but work with what you got. So what we're going to do is we're going to place our mid-calf on top of the foam roller. We're going to line up our knees so they're aligned right here. So this adds extra pressure to the calf. That's on the bottom. I'm going to press my hands up off the ground here. Starting on the mid-calf, I'm going to push myself to roll forward, stopping short of the knee. I'm pulling myself back through the hands, stopping short of your Achilles tendon, which connects from your calf muscle down to your ankle. So just right at the bottom of your calf where that meaty part ends. So we're rolling back and forth there. What we're looking for is identifying any tight spots here. If you don't identify any that hurt or cause any type of additional pain there, then just keep rolling. The good news is you're stimulating blood flow to that working muscle. So those calves, we use them when we run, when we toe off, when we propel forward. Very important we utilize that. Our goal is to spend 30 seconds per side or per muscle group. So as we're rolling here, looking for those spots. This is when I'll start to add in a side-to-side motion. So I'm kind of rolling around to try to identify any tight spots. Now, once you do find one, let's say you do, let's say it's right here, I want you to just hold it there. Stay on top of that tight spot until it gradually, slowly starts to break down under the weight or pressure of your body. So the pressure you're putting into that foam roller is actually what helps kind of break that soft tissue down, or scar tissue, or working through that. And then you continue to roll for the 30 seconds here. I like to do 30 seconds just because I want it to be as a simple routine that's easy to adhere to. And oftentimes if we're in a rush before I run, we don't necessarily have time to do a fully enveloped foam rolling session or stretch routine or dynamic warm-up. So this is a good way to kind of just make it a routine for you that's not too long in length. So we have the calves. Now we're going to move on to the hamstrings. I like to work my way up here. So we're going to do isolated movements here. I'm going to place one foot firmly into the ground here. Other foot going to be pointing up towards the sky here. So a neutral ankle. I'm going to press my hips off the ground. Now this foam roller is underneath my hamstring, about mid-hamstring. I'm going to roll just shy of my glutes. And roll back just shy above my knee. So same with this motion. Typically you don't feel as many knots or tight spots here as you would in your calf. But if you do, definitely, as we mentioned before, focusing on that spot, spend some time in there to let it gradually break down. Otherwise, you just continue to roll for 30 seconds here. Gliding back and forth. And then switch sides. Same principle. Plant the other foot firmly into the ground here, rolling back and forth, pointing that ankle to foot that's on top of the foam roller here. You're going to keep that neutral, pointing that foot towards the sky or the ceiling. Once again, looking for any tight spots here that we can focus in on and stop and hold on. When that 30 seconds is up, we're going to go ahead and sit back down. So we've done calves and the hamstrings. We've done posterior chain. Now we're going to focus on anterior chain. So let's go ahead and shift to our quads. So now we're going to put that foam roller in front of us, about mid-thigh. because this is a smaller foam roller, it's best to do it one side at a time. So I'm going to show you the right leg first. I'm going to come down onto the foam roller onto my mid-thigh. Other leg I'm going to bring out, kind of splayed on the ground here. So my knee will be on the ground, foot will be on the ground. Come down to our elbows here. We're going to pull ourselves up through the elbows, gliding across the foam roller there. We want to roll all the way till we're just shy of that hip bone or the hip crease, and then roll all the way down to just above the knee. So typically it's very common to find a tight spot here, and if you do, and when you do, you're going to hold that spot, put that pressure on it. To get a little extra tension relief there, we're going to actually slowly curl the foot up. Again, make sure you breathe through this. Curl that up, hold that pressure so you start to feel that spot kind of softening up. Slowly bring it back down. And continue your roll. Okay, this oftentimes can be a little tight, especially if it's your first time foam rolling. So if that's too much pressure, I recommend putting, if you can fit both your legs on top, is putting both your legs on top. So it gives a little bit more even distribution of pressure from the foam roller through both quads. So a little bit easier, and you're just pulling through the elbows here, kind of like in an active or moving plank, and it's a lot less pressure on the quadriceps. We switch sides, so same thing. Landing on that mid-thigh. Bring the other knee out to its side. You're laying your foot and knee on the ground. In a plank on the elbows, you're gliding forward to just shy of the knee. Back down to the hip crease. So I'm kind of pushing and pulling through my elbows. That's where the pulling motion's coming from. Trying to keep that plank position of my back. Again, when you find a tight spot, you're going to curl it up. Breathe through it. Again, if this feels too painful, especially for first timers, it can be a little rough to get used to myofascial release because we just haven't done it before. You can always bring it to 2 legs on top of that foam roller, as I previously showed you. All right, quads are done. We're going to move on to IT band. The IT band is connective tissue that runs from your hip down to your knee, outside of your leg. Oftentimes it does get tight. Now this can be a sensitive area for a lot of people, so if it's too much at first, I recommend coming off the elbow, trying to alleviate that pressure on the IT band. So maybe you place your hand into the ground here. You're going to start at mid-thigh. Your back or your top leg, if you were staying a side plank, your top leg's going to swing over to the front. You're going to plant your foot firmly in the ground. I'm going to come down to the elbow. Facing ahead, straight ahead, shoulders square. I'm going to start middle of my hip there. I'm going to glide across, trying to relax my leg, relax the joint of the ankle, gliding to just shy of the knee, and gliding back up to just shy of that hip bone. The muscles on your legs are a lot more, on the outside of your legs, a lot more delicate, a lot more finite and smaller than the bigger muscle groups like your quadriceps. So it feels like it's a bit more sensitive there. That's why. Just take your time here, take it easy. When 30 seconds is up, we switch sides. So stacking the feet in a side plank, my elbows down on the ground underneath my shoulder, plant the top foot or top leg, put that foot into the ground. Starting at mid-thigh, we're rolling, pushing through our elbow and hand, and then pulling through our elbow and hand to glide across that IT band. Just shy of the knee, just shy of the hip, while keeping our shoulders square facing forward here. Again, it's 30 seconds per side. Once we finish that 30 seconds, we'll move on to our last one here, the glutes. So we've worked our way up to the top. Glutes are next. We'll sit on top of our foam roller. Both feet out extended here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to space my feet apart, about hip width. I'm going to go ahead and take my left ankle I'm going to put it on top of my right knee. So now what we've done is we've kind of moved the tailbone out of the way, given us more exposure of our gluteus medius, our piriformis muscles in our glutes. We're going to actually shift our weight towards the bent knee side. So I'm going to take my opposite hand, place it on my bent knee side, place this hand into the ground, give me some balance. Place my foot firmly in the ground here, my opposite foot. I'm going to slowly roll back and forth, pushing through my hand to roll forward, pressing through my foot to move back. Going the whole length of the glute here. So I'm going to go all the way to just short lower back, go all the way past where we were stopping for the hamstring foam roll. That's the furthest point that I go in terms of the bottom of the glute. When your 30 seconds is up, we switch sides. So same motion here. Take your opposite ankle, put it over the opposite knee. So you're going to take opposite hand also to knee, face the other direction. Plant the other hand into the ground. Plant this foot firmly into the ground. We're rolling. Applying pressure into the glute muscles here. And once you finish your 30 seconds there, you're all good. You're all warmed up, ready to start your run. That's typically what I've used, and I've been injury-free since I've used that. Not to say that is for everybody, but it's been an effective tool for me in terms of muscle recovery and just being able to promote blood flow to working muscles prior to my running or cardio session here. So quick recap, we did calves, hamstrings, quads, IT band, but that's your Fab 5, 30 seconds each one. Go ahead and start that routine right before you go for a run, add in some dynamic stretches, and you're good to go. If you want to use it as recovery after your run, spend a little bit more time in rolling out those tight knots that you might experience post-run, then perhaps you can spend some more time in there. Don't have to limit to 30 seconds, just kind of go by feel.